Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Apex Online Racing YouTube channel. My name is Yorkie065 and I am your commentator here for this evening with coverage of round 6 at the Nurburgring GP circuit here for the AOR Project Cars 2 GT3 Tier 1 League. We're continuing with season 15 here, and we have our second race of the 2-race format. Just before we get into that though, Nurburgring GP circuit, very well known, been used throughout the years in the F1 calendar, and the lap record is currently held by Michael Schumacher from back in 2004 with the Ferrari 2004, funnily enough. He did a time of 1 minute 29.468, which our drivers here in the GT3 cars aren't going to be able to get anywhere near. However, they'll still be looking to achieve some pretty damn quick and respectable lap times. Circuit length is 5.15 kilometers in length, which equates to about 3.2 miles. And we have in total 16 turns, if you want to count the tiny little right-handed kink after, well, on that straight between Turn 4, the exit of the Mercedes Arena, and the left-hander just before we drop down the hill to where we are watching Jorgurk down at the moment. So yes, the 2-race format that we have this evening. We have 2 races for you, as you may have already guessed. First one is going to be a 20-minute sprint race, for which the grid order will be determined by this 15-minute qualifying session that we're in here. And then once we have completed that 20-minute sprint race, we'll then be moving on to the feature race, where the top 16 finishers of race 1 will be put in reverse grid order. So the winner will be starting in P16, second place starts 15, third place starts P14, so on and so forth, down to P14 starting in third position, P15 starting in second place, and then P16 will be starting in pole position for the feature race. And then those who finished outside of the top 16 from race 1 will be starting in the grid order, well, in the positions that they actually finished from that first race. And the feature race will be 40 minutes in length. We're currently watching Jorgurk at the moment, driving around the circuit, who had some a half decent race last week, P4 in the end, but it was actually, if I can find him, there he is, this man here, taking a win that he was not expecting. It's the second win that he's had so far this season as well, but the race strategy played out very nicely for him in round 5 at Donington Park. So hopefully we'll see Andrex again with another good result, but from the live chat messages that he's posted here for the stream, he is mainly looking for damage limitation tonight, basically trying to keep his nose out of trouble, because last time we had this 2-race format at round 2 at Ruinless Essarts, it turned out to be a pretty dramatic race with plenty of action and quite a bit of drama and a few incidents. So strap yourselves in for this one, because it is going to be a wild ride. We're just waiting at the moment for the first bunch of times to appear here on the leaderboard at this qualifying session. I believe there's a couple of drivers as well who are new here. Tikanesh we saw last week. He made his debut in round 5 at Donington. There is Crab, Strongest Avenger. Had a bit of a nightmare last time round. Finished P7 in the end. He was looking pretty good for the win, and then he kind of lost out to strategy. You can see he's really trying to work and warm up the tyres, and has done a pretty erratic job of that, and found himself making a trip across the grass. We got Egg K. He is a new driver that we have not seen so far in this season. So welcome to you here to Tier 1. It's driving the Acura. NSX, number 75, Advan liveried Acura NSX as well. He'll be one to keep an eye on to see what kind of performance he has under his fingertips and feet. Elgato driving around. Deuce we've seen before as well as Otto Winkler. Sean Neves has done a couple of races now. Inky Chris, seen him have a pretty good strong performance. He ended up finishing in the final podium spot of P3 last time out. Strategy looked like he was going to be working quite nicely for him, and then got caught up with a little bit of traffic coming through the race. How's Yogurt, who actually finished in P2, I remember correctly now, but got demoted down because of his penalties, and it was therefore Alan who picked up second place. Where is he in the leaderboard at the moment? He's up there and currently in P5, circulating round. Just coming through turns 3 and 4 up the exit of the Mercedes section. Turn 5 is this little right-handed kink here. Don't really count as a corner as such. Before we come into the right-hander at turn 6. Sorry, left-hander at turn 6. Then the right-hander at turn 7. And we drop down the hill, down to the hairpin of turn 8, down at the bottom. So it's JK16 at the moment. He's got a provisional pole position. He's just lining himself up for a potential lap, possibly either on a cool-down lap after doing a flying lap, or having just come out of the pit lane, and is therefore trying to warm his brakes and tyres, get up to temperature. Speedy Go still circulating around. Let's in fact jump on board with him as he's coming out the final turn now, and we shall do a lap here on board the Lamborghini. So on the approach down towards turn 1, we're going to hang to the left hand side, braking just as we get to the 100-meter board and down through the gears all the way down into first gear. Try and hook up the apex on the inside. Speedy Go a little bit shy of that. Bring the car over to the right to open up turn 2. Just hold it in second gear, hook up a late apex, let the car run out wide to the curb on the exit there, then down 2 gears down into first gear. We'll be hooking up the curb a little bit more, but you want to try and keep to the left, open up turn 4 as you come out the exit of the Mercedes arena. Shifting up through the gears, we do have an Audi up in front, but they are slowing down and getting out the way, although right on the racing line, which isn't ideal. Turn 6, third gear, turn 7, down into second. Line yourself up for a good exit using all the available curb on the outside there to maximise your run out of that, and down the hill here, down in towards turn 7, hang to the left. Then got 2 options. This line here, which Speedy Go is taking, which is a single apex, hooking up a late apex, or the other alternative is go for a super early apex and double apex that corner. Schumacher S is just a slight breathe on the throttle maybe? No, Speedy Go completely flat out going through there, through the Schumacher S of turn 9 and 10. Now we're on the run towards turn 11, braking just as we get to the AstroTurf on the left hand side, shy of the apex on the inside. You want to be mounting that curb on the inside there, and you want to be trying to open up this corner as much as possible, try and get on the power as early as possible to give yourself the best run. Out of 12, coming down onto this fairly longish back straight, going through at Van Bogen, turn 13. Then we come into the chicane, braking just before the 100-meter board down, avoiding the larger curbs on the inside of the left-hander, but taking the one on the right. Then we come into the final turn now, turn 16. Hook up a late apex to try and give yourself the best run possible, coming off the exit of this corner and out onto the start-finish line. We come across the line, and he hasn't improved on his best lap time. It's Strongest Avenger, who is currently sat in a provisional pole at the moment. He's doing a little bit of grass cutting on the inside of turn 1 though, just trying to stay out of people's way who are on hot laps, and he's done a 153.226, so well off of the lap record that Michael Schumacher currently holds, but still very impressive lap time nonetheless. And in fact, he's 1.1 seconds clear of this man JK16 in the BMW M6, who's been showing a little bit of promise in the previous rounds that he has been a part of, but he hasn't really converted a proper solid result. Hopefully with this current P2 that he holds here, ready for the sprint race, things are going to be turning. This could be a circuit that actually suits the BMW a fair bit more. Bit front engine, quite a long wheelbase. It does prefer the medium to high speed corners. There's quite a few on this circuit. It's got a good flow to it, so allows the BMW to really play to its strengths. He's just approaching the start-finish line now and improves on his best lap time. Gets closer to Strongest Avenger, but does not improve on his position for the moment. This man Yogurt here in the Lamborghini, the Lemon Lamborghini, number 92, just coming out of turn 7 there down the hill now. He's currently in a provisional P3. He'll be looking to try and gain a few extra attempts if he possibly can to try and hold on to that. Alan, just in the Mercedes arena section now, just gone through turn 2, and down the dip down towards turn 3. Be riding that curb on the inside through that, really try and open up turn 4, which Alan does quite nicely. So he's on his way, looking for a fairly solid lap time, just coming up to the end of sector 1 split now, but nothing flashed up for him there, so I think he may have invalidated his previous lap, because usually it would come up with some indication as to whether he's up or down on his previous fastest. Inky Chris in the older generation BMW. He is currently coming through the latter part of Sector 2 at the moment, just coming into turn 12, Horsteiner curve. Trying to get a good drive coming off of that. Pushing on hard. Fantastic V8 sound. That naturally aspirated Z4 comes up to the chicane now. He's 0.09 of a second off his previous fastest at the moment. If he improves just by a tenth, he'll hop himself back up into P5 ahead of Fubart. Andrax's teammate is currently just occupied that position. Inky Chris just getting a little bit sideways out the exit of the final turn there, but holds it very nicely. Doesn't improve on his time for now, but he's still got 5.2 litres in the car and 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, so he's still got time to try and improve. We've got Fubart doing some grass cutting. Groundskeeper's not going to be too happy with a number of drivers here. I've seen quite a few of them off trying to stay out the way of other cars in this qualifying session so far. Speedy Goat currently there in P7 at the moment. Things are looking fairly good for him. Tony Clifton up in P8 ahead of Andrax, who's currently in P9. Tony Clifton opting for the very tight line coming into turn 7 there. He's now dropping down the hill. Will he go for the early apex as well? Yes, he will. So there's the alternate line that we saw to what Yogurt took earlier on. Go in for that earlier apex. Let the car run a little bit deep and then bring it back for a second late apex on the exit. Try and straight line the exit and climb up the hill as best as you possibly can. Asturbo, there in P10, currently sat in the pit lane. He needs to get out back onto the circuit pretty sharpish if he wants to try and improve on that current position. Trip is currently there in P11 in the 111 Lamborghini that we see. Or was that the 666? That is the 666, sorry. Excuse my mistake there. Pathos currently in P12. Number 64. Audi R8. WMDR Martin with the windscreen wiper going as always. Currently there in P13. He's just coming down towards turn 3. United Kingdom of Great Germany, i.e. Stephen Curry, our lead coordinator. So I'm in the number 6 Lamborghini. He's just there in P14 at the moment. We're looking to try and improve, as well as Sub Conan. So he's coming up towards the final chicane. Let's just observe him here. See if he gets a nice smooth run. Club Arena curves, but things looking pretty good and pretty stable for him as he's on the run towards the final turn, braking just as you get to that white line that spans the width of the circuit. Reasonable drive off the exit. And I think he may actually just be starting a flying lap. I saw him switch on the lights there, which for some drivers is used to signify whether they're on a flying lap or not. Gregwin is currently sat in the pit lane in his Cadillac, so he'll be no better than P16 Deuce. Seen him have a bit of a rough start to the season, but he's managed to bring things back in check and has been doing a bit better the last few rounds. He's currently in P17 at the moment, just trying to line himself up for a good run off the exit of the final turn here. So he'll be crossing the line with about 40 odd seconds remaining. So he's got time to do one more lap. We've got Jobsk in the Ferrari 488. He's down in P18 at the moment. He's coming towards the final sector. 3/10 of a second up on his previous fastest. He carries that to the line. That should pop himself up into a provisional P16 ahead of Gregwin, who will not be able to improve on that lap time that he currently has. So here comes Jobs coming to the line. And indeed he does. Goes and takes that P16 spot by improving by 0.6 of a second. Edge K just down at the hairpin at the bottom of the hill there, down at turn 8. He's currently in P19. Plank is currently there in P20. But we can see that JK16, Yogurk, and also Alan all locked into second, third, and fourth position. They won't be improving. That gives Strongest Avenger some comfort as he's just come out of turn 7 there on the run down the hill. Looks like he's on a flying lap, even though he doesn't necessarily need to improve on his lap time. Although Inky Chris, oh no, we just picked him up just in time for a spin, making contact with the tyre barrier there as he was coming through the Schumacher S's. He will not be improving on his 7th position. Speedy Go be locked into P8. He won't be improving either, with Tony Clifton not improving on P9. As Turbo though is out on circuit. He's on the run down towards the hairpin. He'll probably be one of the last drivers to come across the line to improve on his lap time. Trip is no better than P11. Paphos is still out there. WMDR Martin as well. Plus a whole bunch of other drivers. Nuno Aparicio locked into P30. We've got a lagging car there in the pit lane. Fatworm is just coming through turn 12 towards the end of the lap. Otto Winkler no better than P27. We've got Sean Neves with WMDR Martin just behind him. They're approaching the final part of the lap now. Jump on board with Fatworm, who hasn't improved on his previous time as of yet so far here in this lap. WMDR Martin is closing up onto the back of Sean Neves as they come through the final corner. In fact, Martin having to go for the overtake if he wants to try and improve on his lap time. Does he improve? He does indeed. He hops himself up into P11. Sean Neves maintains that 27th position for the moment. As Turbo's just coming out of the final turn now, and I believe he's our last driver. Does he improve on his lap time? No, he jumps back to the pit lane at the very last moment, just as he was coming back to the line. So here is your confirmation of the qualifying results then, and the grid order for race 1 of 2 this evening. Strongest Avenger taking pole position with JK16 in 2nd place, with Yogurk in 3rd. Alan in 4th place with Andrex in 5th. Fubar starting in 6th position with Inky Chris in 7th. Speedy Go in 8th. Tony Clifton occupies 9th position, and As Turbo rounds out the top 10. WMDR Martin starts in P11 with Trip in P12. Paphos P13. Stephen Curry in P14 with Sub Conan in 15th. 16th is occupied by Yobs. Gregwin in P17. Deuce in 18th place with Edge K making his debut in P19, and Clank taking 20th spot. 21st goes to Tick on Nash. Mr. Zach occupies 22nd with Delgado and 23rd Crab. 24th Tiago Pereira, 25th position. 26th place for Atomic, Sean Neves in 27th, Otto Winkler in 28th, Fatworm in 29th, and Nuno Aparicio, our final driver, in P30. So we advance onto the race session, and it looks like, unfortunately, we have lost a single driver. I was hoping that we were going to have the entire 30 driver lineup come over to the race session, but it looks like we've unfortunately dropped down to 29. Now, usually here in AOR, we have a manual rolling formation lap with a rolling start for the beginning of this race. However, because this is the 2-race format, the first race is going to be a standing start. So the drivers have this 2-minute grace period just to prepare themselves for this first race. They don't need to worry about a pit stop strategy. There's no mandatory pit stop here in either of the 2 races this evening, but they may want to do one just in case they pick up some severe damage and need to pit to get that repaired. But they'll be mainly looking to apply the correct car setup and basically just getting themselves comfortable and strapped in. Hopefully you guys are all set and ready to go with this race as well, which will be starting momentarily, and we will be going straight on the green light as well, racing straight away, and things will be very interesting down towards turn 1 to see who can get the good jump at the lights and who is going to go with the aggressive strategy here in this first 20-minute race. So here we go then, preparing ourselves, ready for the race start. I was trying to find a camera angle where we can get our entire race field. We've got near enough everyone bar the race leader. We're underway. We're watching Andrex at the moment, who hasn't had the best of launches off the line. He could be getting swapped here by Inky Chris and his teammate on the run down towards turn 1. Contact between As Turbo and I think that was Speedy Go. More contact between Subcone and Pathos and one other driver there as well. They're all coming down in towards turn 1. Can they get through there safely without any further contact? Just trying to open up the camera here to see if we can get some good viewing angles for you guys as they make it through the first turn without too much drama. Strongest Avenger still holding on to the race lead at the moment. JK16 still there, lurking in second position. Let's bring up the track map. We'll also get the speedo up for you guys as well to give you guys as much racing information as possible. Inky Chris is right there, up on the rear bumper of Yogurt in the Lamborghini ahead. Inky Chris having made one position already. It sounded like there may have potentially been a spinner somewhere behind a harder car, drop in revs. But yeah, coming down the hill, down in towards turn 8 now. Cars filtering their way through as they accelerate up the hill. Andrex having an absolute terrible start. He's down in 10th position, starting from P5, P6 on the grid. Contact between Speedy Go and I think that was Gregwin who was trying to sneak on through before they got to the Schumacher S's. Speedy Go not having the best of start, seeing him rubbing door panels with a number of drivers. Otto Winkler is there trying to have a little bit of a look at Tony Clifton, also involved with that. He's the one out a little bit wide. Sorry, that's Mr. Zach, not Otto Winkler, there in the Porsche. So Mr. Zach trying to gain some places here in the early phase of this race. We saw Subconan have some contact earlier on the start finish grid. It looks like he's got a tiny bit of damage to the front of his Audi, but that shouldn't impact him. He's having a look down the inside of Clank coming into the chicane, but wasn't able to get close enough alongside to actually make the move stick. Let's jump back up to the race leaders once again as the top four are starting to string out a little bit. We got Inky Chris having a look to the outside of Fubar, who's had a pretty good start, gaining a couple of places. Inky Chris trying to go around the outside. Will he be able to do it here? Or will he go for the switchback up underneath? Nope, he's just going to settle in for the moment and follow the Audi R8 coming through the Mercedes Arena section of turns 2 down into 3 and 4. So you can see him fairly close there, but Fubar's managed to capitalise on a potential mistake that Inky Chris has made on that lap, because we saw him earlier on just behind Jorgurk. So they come on through. It looks like Trip and Andrex, and Edge K has also made a pretty good start as well. He's got himself up into P12. I think he started in around 14, 15, 16, something like that. So he's gained a whole bunch of places to get himself now up into P11. Because we've got a number of drivers in the pit lane. Pathos, Crab, and Stephen Curry are the 3 drivers in there. They don't need to serve a mandatory pit stop, so they must be in for repairing the damage. But Andrex wanting to try and recover some positions here, though he's clipped the oh no, that's JK16. He's dropped way down the field there in the grass. We've got Edge K though having a look down the inside of Andrex, coming through turn 11 and around the outside into turn 12. He manages to pull that move off. That all stemmed from Andrex dipping his wheels out into the gravel, and JK16 is dropping down the order. He's got some pretty severe damage to the rear end of his car, probably suspension damage, which is why he is dropping down the order. What on earth happened to him in the on this lap, because he was up there in P2 at the time. Fubar has now got a time panel to his name, as well as Fatworm. So those 2 drivers have been exploring the track limits. But this is one of the great things about this this race. Is it's about 20 minutes long, 11 racing laps in total. It forces the drivers to go fairly aggressive in order to try and make the best positions that they can possibly get, and obviously score points here in this first race, ready for round 2. Fubar just having a slight wiggle there. Let's jump back to Edge K, who's now up into P9. He's got Andrex crawling all over the back of his Acura. So he's trying to keep up with Trip up ahead, but Trip is extending the gap to this battle. If they do continue to battle hard, Trip will continue to disappear off into the distance a little bit more. Andrex, they're lurking very close. Said he wasn't feeling overly confident with the car and the setup here in on this circuit. Not quite gelling as well as he hoped and had been doing in previous rounds. Coming into the Schumacher S's. Much neater and tidier this time by Andrex, following the Acura in front. Coming into turn 11 there, just clipping the curb on the inside. Now we float the car into turn 12. Trying to get the good run coming off of that. Andrex sat in the slipstream at the moment, but the top speed looking pretty good on the Acura. See, he's not really able to close up coming in towards the braking zone for this chicane here. Andrex with a tidier run though through the chicane, having a little bit of a look coming into the final corner. Edke is going to give him the racing room. They're going to be side by side coming out the exit here, and it's going to be a drag race between the two cars as they're on the run down towards turn 1 now. Who's got the legs on the straight? Who is going to be the later of the late breakers? Andrex has got the inside, but Edke looks like he's starting to nose ahead a little bit, but now Andrex is coming back under back at him under braking and manages to get the move done. Edke trying to go for the switchback though on the exit. It's going to be on the outside coming into turn 2 unless he can pull that back in. And indeed he just settles in behind Andrex for the moment. Good, fair and respectable racing between these two, giving each other plenty of room. Still pushing each other fairly hard and not giving up on the positions too easily. With the drama at the head of the field with JK16 having to make a pit stop, now down in 28th 28th position to repair the damage. Oh, you're getting very close to the back of Alan there in the braking zone for turn 8. Almost collided with the back of the Mercedes AMG in front of him, but somehow managed to pull it up and stop it just short. Just a clip of the grass there from the Lamborghini driver. That's going to drop him off the Mercedes in front. Bubar's there lurking in the background as well, just over a second behind. We mentioned that he has got a penalty, and it's a 1 second penalty. Jorgek's also got a 1 second penalty as well, and Fatworm's got a 30-second penalty to his name. No doubt that would have been for probably passing a car whilst off the circuit, but that's most likely if he's got evidence of that being a legitimate pass and actual avoiding action, he can take that one to the stewards to get that 30-second penalty revoked. Asturbo there in P7. He started in P10. We saw him making a little bit of contact with the barrier on the off the grid on the run down towards turn 1, but doesn't seem like he's picked up any damage that's affecting him here. He's on the back of WMDR Martin at the moment. Okay, we've mentioned Tony Clifton is now up into P10 with Mr. Zach. They're lurking in P11. Gwedwin's had a fairly good start. He's now up into P12. He's got Clank just lurking around about the second behind. Behind them is Trip and the 666, number of the beast Lamborghini. Coming through turn 2. Oh no, we've got Deuce and also Delgado facing each other there. Sub Conan's also off on the inside, trying to get the car out of the way of everyone else. Just saw the two cars, the Lamborghini and the Mercedes, nose to nose. Oh, contact there between Deuce and Atomic. That's Atomic going round. Also, Deuce went round as well. I thought Deuce carried on for a moment without being interfered, but obviously that tag was enough to send the Lamborghini around as well. That was all very much on Atomic there, though, I think. So he was coming up behind and just misjudged the speed of Deuce in front going into turn 2. So those two losing even more positions. Sub Conan, see with the damage at the front of the car, really having a nightmare here in this race. They're currently outside the top 16, so they'll be starting in the positions that they finish. They were to finish in these positions. It's Tickle Nash, who's just outside the top 16 at the moment, and Tiago Pereira in the Porsche 911. You can see that. It's currently occupying that 16th spot, so if he maintains that and finishes in that position, he'll pick up some points for this race, and he'll be placed on pole position for the feature race as well. Is fairly close to the back of Clank, about a second, but Clank is fairly close, shall I say, closer to the back of Gregwin. Tony Clifton closing up on the back of Ed K. Having a little bit of a look to the inside, but a little bit too far back to make that move there. Ed K just keeping his calm, keeping his cool and composure. Still takes the apex. Undistracted there. So it's been a fairly good, strong showing here on this debut for Ed K. It's not a name that I recognise. I haven't commentated on before, so not entirely sure of his overall pace and potential performance, but things are looking good for him at the moment, although Tony Clifton is showing his nose in a couple of places. Just trying to put the Acura driver under pressure, see if he can force him into a mistake. As they come into the hairpin of turn 8 now, trying to get a good drive off the exit of that. They run up the hill towards the Schumacher S. Just a slight breathe on the throttle as they chuck their car in. Tony Clifton neater to the apex, going through turn 9. Just closes up a little bit more, shows his nose once again, coming into turn 11 as forced the space. Ed K gave him the room, and Tony Clifton slots himself up into P9 there. Pretty aggressive move, but it paid off very nicely for him. Ed K gave him plenty of space, and Tony Clifton took that with both hands, as well as the position. It's good stuff by him, but can Ed K come back at him and try and reclaim that 9th place off the Audi R8, or is he going to try and use the Audi driver to close up onto towards the back of Andrex, who's starting to try and make some ground on AS Turbo. AS Turbo still following WMDR Martin at the moment, just under a second between the two of them, about 8 tenths. Martin looking very defensive coming here into turn 1, despite the sizable gap between the two of them. Still doesn't really lose any time to AS Turbo there. Going through the turn 1 hairpin. Trip and Gregwin getting fairly close, and in fact it's almost 3 wide on the exit of turn 1 here. Gregwin trying to go around the outside of Lamborghini driver, coming through turn 2, tries to also go for the switchback, but with Tripp trying to make moves on Clank as well, that's proving a little bit difficult. A little bit of damage there at the front of the Lamborghini. On driver's left, Gregwin just trying to stick his nose in, coming through turn 4, not quite working for him, but Tripp's got the drive off the exit of that, just coming through turn 5 now down into turn 6. He's on the outside of Clank though, coming into the left handle. It's not going to work for him there. Instead, going to be 3 cars line astern before they run down the hill, down towards the hairpin. Just allowing Speedy Go to slowly close back up towards the rear of these guys as well. Gregwin going a little bit deep there, trying to take the wide line approach and hook up the later apex, but the 2 cars in front of him going for the tighter entrance to the corner. Looked like they gained a little bit of ground, but Tripp here on a pretty good line coming through the Schumacher S's. Not quite close enough to try and make the move coming into turn 11 on Clank, but Clank makes a slight mistake there. That holds up Tripp a little bit and costs him some momentum. Gregwin is right there, a little bit of contact between the two. Gregwin almost loses the car, manages to gather it back up, but he loses the position to Speedy Go. So Gregwin now down into 15th. Just a slight mistake there by the Cadillac driver, just getting caught up on the rear of the Lamborghini. Tripp struggling a little bit there for grip going through the NGK chicane. Now Speedy Go is lurking right there, ready to pounce. Let's jump on board with him as we're on the run down towards turn 1. It seems like Tripp has the legs over Speedy Go at the moment. The brake marker boards have disappeared. Oh, there's contact between Tripp and Clank. Tripp just going a little bit deep there on the brakes, pitching both of them slightly sideways, and now Speedy Go is trying to go around the outside, coming through turn 2. That's a long way around there, and indeed Tripp holds on to the position for the moment, but Speedy Go tries to make a move down the inside coming into turn 3. Not quite close enough to get his nose fully alongside. Really hammers the curb on the inside of turn 4 there, off the exit, trying to get the good drive off. really wants to punish Tripp for the mistake in turn 1, but hasn't quite been able to nab that position of P13 away as of yet. On the run down towards the hairpin though this time round. Speedy Go still follows him for the moment. Not close enough to make the move there. This is a fairly good circuit for racing. There are a number of overtaking opportunities, but at the same time it can also be quite difficult to pass unless another driver makes a mistake, such as that one. Trip all over the gravel there on the inside of the Schumacher S of turn 10. And Speedy Go not really able to close up and punish Tripp for that mistake that time. So still the four-way fight in the midfield. Wedwing is still lurking, just over a second behind Speedy Go for the moment. Under braking and off the exit of the chicane. Clank still leading the way. Speedy Go just trying to open up the final corner by riding that curb on the outside on the entry to turn 16. And now once again we're on the run down towards the hairpin. Clank positioning his car a little bit defensively, even though he doesn't necessarily need to. I think the missing brake marker boards may have tripped up Tripp on the previous lap. This time round things go much more smoothly for the three drivers, although is that Tripp that's just almost spun there coming off the exit of turn 2. He's now got Speedy Go on his outside, coming around the outside of turn 4. Speedy Go going out a little bit wide there. That could potentially be a slowdown warning for him, but he's starting to nose ahead of Tripp on the approach down towards turn 6. And indeed he does back out and let Tripp back through. This is going to give him some breathing room to Clank. And that's now allowing Gwegwin to close right up onto the back there. So it's a three-way fight between those drivers. Still looking at 8 tenths to 9 tenths of a second between Allen and Yogurt. Battle for P2 and P3. Andrex is closed up onto the back of As Turbo. And Tony Clifton is not too far off the back of Andrex. Or a couple of the drivers going a little bit deep there through the mid part of the Schumacher S. See their lines going slightly deeper as you looked at the three cars. Obviously would have been through the hole being punched in the air, and I think we just lost one of our drivers. Oh, actually Tripp has just been caught out by that as well. I think a Speedy Go is on the outside coming in towards the chicane. Speedy Go manages to get the move done under braking, swoops around the outside in the entry to the NGK chicane and picks up that 13th position. Now Gwegwin is sat there lurking, ready for blood. But right on board with him as he's looking at the back of the Lamborghini with Tripp in front. So they're on the approach to turn 1. Will he be able to go for the move? He's looking down to the inside. Tripp braking a little bit late. Will he be able to get the car covered back up? Rear end stepping out a little bit, but he does a pretty good job of holding on to that for the moment. And they continue as they were when they exited the final corner. Speedy Go going a little bit deep there. Tripp almost following him. Same with Gwegwin as well. So they're pushing on hard as we're on lap 10, the penultimate lap. This first race absolutely flying by. As Yogurt is still lurking fairly close to the back of Allen, but isn't close enough to try and make a move for the moment. Then we've got a 4-car train of Andrex at the front ahead of As Turbo, then Tony Clifton. Not too far, the back of them is Ed K as well. So Andrex has managed to get himself ahead of As Turbo, potentially a mistake somewhere along the line on this lap. It may have potentially come from the previous lap, but with only 6 tenths of a second difference. Doubt that's really anything there, although having said that, Tony Clifton was a 56.8 on the previous lap. Tony Clifton having a look down the inside of As Turbo coming into the chicane. As Turbo slams that door shut though and forces Tony Clifton to really back up. That's going to put him right in the firing line of Ek as they're coming into the final corner now to begin the final lap of the race. It's giving Andrex breathing room, so he's starting to check out a little bit. Ek not really getting the run through the final corner that he would have hoped for to be really threatening Tony Clifton coming into the first turn. Strongest Avenger leading the way by a pretty sizable margin. As Turbo very deep there coming into turn one, almost a little bit of contact between himself and Tony Clifton as Tony Clifton really tried to maximise the speed through the corner. He's now having a look to the inside of Asturbo coming into turn 3. Is he able to pick his nose in and pry that gap open? Asturbo holding it defensive for the moment. Tony Clifton deep there in turn 4. Ek trying to come at him around the outside. Coming in towards turn 6 now. Will he be able to sweep around the outside and make the move stick, or will he not be able to do that? Tony Clifton runs him out of room on the exit there. Good, forceful and respectable driving between the pair of them. Tony Clifton really getting his elbows out, having to get aggressive to try and hold on to that 9th position. As Asturbo was once again a little bit deep, it looked like they're coming into the hairpin, but brings it back for the late apex for the drive up the hill. This is going to be allowing Andrex to continue to push and clear these drivers and relieve himself of any pressure. We've got our race leader, Strongest Avenger, coming into the final turn. I do apologise that we have to skip away from that battle just to see our race winner here come across the start finish line. So he'll be starting in P16, but he'll be taking away a nice healthy 50 points for that race win. Alan looks like he is just about going to hold off Jogurk for second position. Nice little flash of the lights there by him as Jogurk claims the final podium spot. Fubar will be coming across the line in P4 with Inky Chris in the BMW Z4 taking 5th position. WMDR Martin will be coming across the line in P7, wagging away the windscreen wiper. Andrex is there in P7. Tony Clifton is just about going to edge out Asturbo at the line, is he? It looks like he did. A number of the drivers have penalties, but it looks like they hold on to their positions. So WMDR Martin finishes in P6, Andrex in P7, Tony Clifton in P8, Asturbo P9, Ek in P10. Mr. Zach comes home in P11 with Speedy Go picking up P12 in the end. And in fact, actually, Clank has had an absolute nightmare here on the last lap and has dropped down into 15th position. Tripp in 13th with Gregwin in 14th. Jobs we see come across the line in P16. Tiago Pereira just outside the top 16 will be starting in 17th place. A mistake from him somewhere along the line because we saw him in P16 previously. Delgado in P18 in the end with Tickle Nash there in P20. Deuce comes across the line in P20. Nono Aparicio comes home in 21st place. Tomic there 22nd. Batworm be holding off Otto Winkler to just under a second as he comes out the final corner now and across the start finish line. So Batworm picks up 23rd place. No, he doesn't. Otto Winkler picks up 23rd. Batworm demoted down into 24th, down into 25th because of his penalty. Stephen Curry with a penalty as well. He drops down into 20. Well, he picks up 24th position. JK16, after being at the head of the field, comes home in 26th place. A race to forget for him. Well, Fatworm drops down in 27th. It's the 32nd penalty, isn't it, that Fatworm has, which is costing him all these positions, but he should be able to reclaim that 23rd place that he had if he can clear that 32nd penalty with the stewards. Subconen is our last driver. We can see just making his way round the final lap, but he's not going to get there before the lobby moves on and the race finishes. So here is your official results then. Strongest Avenger picks up the race win with Alan in 2nd place, Jogurk in 3rd, Fubar 4th, Inky Chris in 5th with WMDR Martin in P6, Andrex P7, Tony Clifton P8, P9 Asturbo Ek rounds out your top 20. You can see their penalties there as well. Mr. Zach in P11 with Speedy Go coming home in P12. 13th went to Tripp, Gregwin in 14th, Clank in 15th position with Jobsk in 16th, Tiago Pereira in 17th, 18th is Delgado, Tickle Nash P19 with Deuce in P20. 21st was Nono Aparicio, Atomic in 22nd, Otto Winkler 23rd, although I think Fat One will be able to clear that 30-second penalty that he has and reclaim that 23rd position that he had. So I'll put Otto Winkler in 24th, Stephen Curry in 25th, Paphos 26th, JK16 in 27th position, and then Sub Conan be our final finisher in 28th. So, bear with us a moment whilst we just prepare our second race for you guys. Quickly ask the lobby one question for a second. Right, so we need to get the lobby settings sorted, ready for this second race. It's going to be 23 laps in total, and that'll be 22 racing laps and 1 manual formation lap. Slight shift in time of day for this one. Yeah, slight shift in time of day for this one. They were previously doing their race that kicked off at 7 o'clock in the evening in game time. We'll be starting at 6 o'clock in game time, so 1 hour later. The race, as I say, should be 40 minutes in length, and we'll have the manual formation lap here for this one as well, as the guys will need to form themselves up into the correct order with the reverse grid order for the top 16. So we're just waiting for a couple of the drivers to come back into the lobby. 1 or 2 drivers just quickly going AFK for a comfort break. But I'll remain with you guys and keep chatting with you. Hopefully you're all good and feeling well and enjoying the action so far. If you are, give the live stream, give the video a thumbs up. Really helps to basically get more eyes on these leagues, and the more eyes that we can get, the better the racing could potentially be as we get more drivers signed up. And obviously it makes things more interesting for you guys as well in the live stream chat. And if you're new to the Apex Online Racing channel, then please consider subscribing. We do have various leagues that we run throughout the week across multiple different racing games and racing sims. There's going to be pretty much anything and everything for your taste. We're going to have something for you that you're going to enjoy. So if you hit that bell notification as well, you'll be alerted with each time that one of us goes live here at AOR. So we're still just waiting for a driver or two. But let's take a look at the calendar that we've had for this season. So obviously today's date, 29th of April, round 6, we're at the Nurburgring GP circuit. We have done Barcelona, Catalunya GP, Rouen, Les Essarts, Rapuna GP, Hockenheim GP, and then last week we were at Donington, as you can see. But we've got some interesting tracks to look forward to in the future. Azure Circuit next week, i.e. Monaco. That's going to be very interesting with the GT3 cars. Obviously a very difficult circuit to overtake on, and you can see the times 10 there next to the name of the track. That's going to indicate that it'll be times 10 in time acceleration. So I believe the race in game time is due to start in the afternoon, but we'll be going through sunset and into the night. So hopefully we'll see some very pretty scenes with the fantastic coastal side city, providing a nice backdrop for the racing action. We'll then be jumping over to China, to Zhuhai, with again another 10 times 10 time acceleration race. Circuit that isn't really raced all that often, and not too many people are aware of. It's a pretty good circuit, and it's pretty good for racing and overtaking as well. A lot of very heavy braking zones, so it's going to be key for the drivers to really get a good balance in the car for that one, and really look after the brakes as well, as it's quite punishing on the brakes there, despite the long straights. Then we got Dubai Autodrome GP, very nice good circuit for the GT3 cars, and then we come to our season finale on the 27th of May at Indianapolis Road Circuit. Another pretty good track as well. So I believe we are just waiting for one more driver to come back in. Here he has just suddenly appeared back in the lobby now. So we are just moments away getting underway with race 2. Just double check that the driver who has just come in has got the correct car selected. He does indeed. Right, let's do it. So we're now launching the lobby and going straight in for the second race. Our feature race this evening should be about 40 minutes in length approximately, which will take us to half past, or just over half past the hour. We do have the manual formation lap as well that drivers will need to do, and that will take a little bit of time for them to get themselves in the correct order. So do please bear with us as well whilst the drivers get sorted on that one. And yeah, JK16, it'd be interesting to see your progress throughout the race on this one. You've got plenty of time, plenty of laps to try and make your way through the field. But yeah, the more overtaking we see from you, the more likely we are to stick with you and watch your progress go through. So the drivers once again get their 2-minute grace period at the beginning, as we've now loaded onto the circuit. They get this 2-minute period where they can double check their setup. Again, they don't need to worry about a race strategy for this race because there is no mandatory pit stop. And then once everyone is all settled in and ready, the drivers will start to pull away. Our lead coordinator, Stephen Curry, will form the grid up into the correct grid positions, starting positions, as the top 16 from the previous race will be put in reverse grid order, then 17th down to 26th, 27th position that we saw finish will be starting in the positions that they finished race 1 in. So bear with me a second whilst I take a quick swig of water and prepare myself ready for this race. Try and look after the voice a little bit. But yeah, we are just moments away here from the feature race getting underway at AOR. All the details, if you want to sign up to the league, are down in the description below. You'll find a link down to the forum there. Navigate to the game section that you want to sign up to. Obviously, sign yourself up to the site and the forum first. Then find the game that you want to sign up to, and if they've got a league running, you can find the list of leagues in that game section, and in there you should find your platform that you want to choose. Navigate into that, and then there should be some sign up threads for you to sign up into and post and provide your details. There'll also be the league rules and league info threads there as well, so make sure to read all that. But the drivers now just going to be forming themselves into the correct grid order. We can hear a few cars going. There goes our pole man, so Jobsk, who finished in P16, will be starting at the head of the field, starting ahead of Clank. So it's Ferrari leading Cadillac, with Gregwin there in 3rd position. Tripp is going to be there in 4th place. Speedy Goat in 5th. Mr. Zach will be starting from 6th position in the Porsche 911. Ed Kate will be starting in P7 in his Acura. As Turbo will be starting in P8 with Tony Clifton in P9, and then Andrax forms up into P10. Inky Chris will be starting from 11th on the grid. WMDR Martin will be starting ahead of Inky Chris, in fact. I believe it's WMDR Martin who's starting in P11, then it's Inky Chris. Indeed, forming themselves up into the correct spots. Then it'll be Fubar starting in 13th place. Yogok starting there in 14th position. It's not Strongest Avenger who is starting in 15. It should be Alan, who's just a little bit slow to pull away from the grid, but he'll overtake Tiago Pereira here. Get himself formed up into the correct spot, because currently at the moment he's in P17. He should be 2 positions ahead of his current position. Now Alan's on his way through. Overtakes Tiago Pereira. There we go. So Alan forms up into 15th place. And our race winner from the previous race, Strongest Avenger, will be starting in 16th position. Tiago Pereira there in 17th. Delgado will be starting in 18th position with Tikanash in 19th. Deuce will be starting in 20th. Nono Aparicio starting in 21st. Atomic starts in 22nd by the looks of things. Otto Winkler starting in 23rd. JK16 starting in 24th. Fatworm there in 25th at the moment, even though I would have placed him higher up due to his penalty. Paphos in 26th position by the looks of things. United Kingdom of Great Germany is moving himself up into a couple more positions as into his correct finishing position. Obviously he was reading out the order, so he was probably a little bit slow off the line, but now that everyone's formed up in the correct place, the field should get rolling and underway, and we'll get this car park that's currently here sorted out and rolling. So is JK ahead of Stephen Curry? Or JK almost losing the BMW there with some aggressive weaving. So JK 24th, Stephen Curry in 25th. JK really hanging out the rear end of the BMW coming off the exit of turn 6 there. That was quite cool to see. So Paphos in 26th. 27th goes to Fatworm. Subcone in 28th, and then Sean Neves be down there in 29th. So let's jump back up to the head of the field. We've got a very different sound to the trio of V10 Audi R8s. And instead we've got the turbocharged V8s of the Ferrari 488s. There's a lot of 8s mentioned in here before the V8 of the Cadillac. Excuse me. So here we go, forming up into the 2x2 formation fairly soon. The official formation point is just after the exit of the final chicane. The drivers will be reducing their speed down to 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles an hour, and you can see the drivers already forming up into that 2x2 formation as we are approaching that chicane now. Should be odd numbers to the left-hand side of the screen as we look at them, drivers right, and then even numbers to drivers left, i.e. the right-hand side of the screen when we look at them here. So that will give the pole sitter the inside line down on the run towards turn 1. So coming out of the final corner now, the field rolling very nicely in the 2x2 formation. It's all down to Jobsk as we come into the acceleration zone now. At any point he could begin this race and we could get underway racing, which I believe we are. We're underway, things looking nice, neat and tidy. A few drivers starting to fan out and try and find a little bit of space. We've got a 3-wide situation here with Edk going down the inside of Mr. Zach and As Turbo. Can they keep it fairly clean and tidy? I just saw at the bottom of the screen there and at the top of the screen, Trip has gone and taken out Clank in the first turn. Some contact between the two. It might have been the other way around. Sorry for my assumption there. Looks like there's a little bit more trouble for a couple more drivers as well. Clank, one of those, spinning off on the inside of turn 2. He's got very heavy damage to the inside of his car, but Edk, having a phenomenal start, is already up into P4 after starting in P7th. And it's going to be Gregwin who's having a look down the inside of Jobs coming into turn 7. Is he going to be able to get the drive coming off the exit of the corner? He's got Speedy Go in the Lamborghini right behind him. Top 4 all very close as they run the run down towards the turn 8 hairpin. Speedy Go down, looking down the inside of Gregwin. Gregwin's going to possibly lose 2 positions here as Edk goes and makes the move. That was WMDR Martin, and we just saw at the top of the screen having a slight moment. He manages to gather the car back up, but he's going to drop down into 16th position after being up in and around 5th, 6th place. Edk doesn't manage to get past Gregwin. Gregwin holds on for the moment, but it's a move for the race lead as Jobsk is getting robbed here by Speedy Go coming into P11, and Speedy Go manages to make the move down the inside and gets himself up into the lead. He'll be looking to push hard. Tony Clifton has managed to get himself up into 4th place, but Gregwin is, sorry, not Gregwin, K is trying to come back at him. He's going to be on the outside, coming on towards the, onto the chicane here. It's going to be side by side between the two cars. Up in front, side by side by K and Tony Clifton here as well. Very much plenty of racing action here on the opening lap. We got 3 wide, a little bit further back almost. Inky Chris having a look down the inside of Jorguk, and Strongest Avenger trying to cash in on the action as well, trying to make the positions. But Gwegwin is drag racing Jobsk as we're on the run down towards turn 1. K is going to be making it 3 wide as we're on the approach towards the first corner. Will we be 3 wide coming into turn 1? It looks like Jobsk is going to be losing out 2 positions. Indeed he does. K trying to go for 2nd position. He's on the outside of Gwegwin coming through turn 2, the long way round. Will he be able to hold it around the outside here, or will Gwegwin be able to defend off and keep that 2nd position that he holds? K still trying to hold it around the outside of turn 3. He's going to have the inside for turn 4 though. It looks like he's just about managed to nose ahead with the Acura on the Cadillac out the exit of the corner, but he's going to be on the outside again, coming on the run down towards turn 6. Gwegwin manages to nose ahead. K looking like he's going to be lucky. He's there on the inside once more, coming into turn 7. Fantastic battle between these two, but this is allowing Speedy Go to disappear off into the distance. Finally, AK settles in behind for the moment, but Andrex up into P6. We've got Fubar having a look down the inside of Gwegwin as well, as he goes very deep, loses the position, loses 2 positions, both Fubar and also AK there. AK now up into 2nd place. The Cadillac driver of Gwegwin demoted down into 4th. Jobsk is having a little bit of a nightmare of the time as he loses the position to Tony Clifton coming through to Schumacher S, almost losing a position to As Turbo. Is very much under threat from Jorguk coming down the inside into turn 11. Jorguk getting the move done. Jobsk out wide there. There's going to be more positions lost for him as he rejoins back onto the surface, onto the racing surface as safely as he possibly can. JK16, absolute fantastic start for him. He's up into P12, caught right up in amongst this battle here with the previous race winners. As Asturbo, no, sorry, not Asturbo, Alan is getting boxed in here by JK16 and Jobsk. And JK16 has managed to get himself up into 11th position, the man on the move, starting from the near enough the back of the grid. He's making more moves as each of the corners ticks off. He's gaining positions with each and every single one of them. He's now up into P10 at this early phase of the race. What a phenomenal start for him. Up ahead though, we've got Gwegwin losing positions, ham over fist. He's coming under threat from Tony Clifton. As Turbo's having a look down the inside of Jorguk, coming into that first turn as well, just behind. Plenty of racing action here to fill our screens. It's pretty difficult trying to decide who to keep up with, and I think my voice may end up blowing out fairly soon, but still fantastic stuff for the moment. Tony Clifton and Gwegwin side by side coming out the exit of the Mercedes Arena, almost 3 wide as Jorguk is trying to get the run off the exit of that turn. As Turbo is also trying to cash in here as well. As Turbo not quite able to get up his nose up alongside Jorguk as he shuts that door and slots in right on the back of the Cadillac coming through turn 6 and 7 on the run down the hill here. Very, very close between the drivers. Gwegwin again taking that wider line. Oh, contact between As Turbo and Jorguk there. That's going to shunted Jorguk deep, and that's going to cost him a whole bunch of positions, as well as Turbo rejoins back onto the circuit down in 11th position now. Excuse me, losing the position to Jobsk as well. In and amongst that, WMDR Martin, who we saw have a moment earlier on in the opening phase of the race. He's trying to come back and he's having a look down the inside of As Turbo now, coming through turn 11. Now into Warsteiner Curve. He's going to be on the outside, but swoops around the outside there to secure that position and demotes As Turbo down into 13th place. He'll be kicking himself from that slight mistake, especially as he's now under threat from Alan on this long back straight here. Alan having a look at the rear bumper of the car in front. Is going to be on the outside coming into the chicane. Will he be able to pull the move off here, or will As Turbo be able to hold on to that place? Alan gets the position and pops himself up into 13th place. So As Turbo now down into 14th. Let's jump back up to this battle here where we've got most recent generation BMW GT3 car leading the older generation BMW Z4. Strongest Avenger is there on the back of Inky Chris, having a look to the inside on the approach towards turn 1. He's going for the move down the inside into the first turn. Inky Chris concedes the position, doesn't really put up too much of a fight there, and lets Strongest Avenger go for the moment. What mighty, fantastic stuff we have here in race 2 so far, and we're only in the first 4 racing laps that we've done so far. Further up the head of the field, we've got the battle for second position. Speedy Go is well and truly checked out, 4.5 seconds ahead of Egg-K, who's doing a good job so far defending to Fubar. Andrex is there lurking just over a second behind his teammate as well. Fubar having a little bit of a look there, coming into the hairpin, not quite able to make the move stick, but I think there may have been a slight bit of contact there, but Egg-K has done a very good job to hold on to that position for now. Does he get a good smooth run coming through to Schumacher S? And he does indeed, but Fubar's trying to get the switch back. He's going to be there on the outside coming in towards turn 11, but it's going to be a long way around for that. That's brought his teammate Andrex well into play. This is going to be a 3-way fight now for that second step on the podium. Fubar is right there, very, very close. Rear end of the car, stepping out a little bit as he's trying to apply the power out the exit of the Warsteiner curve. Let's jump on board with Andrex to watch the battle ahead as Fubar's trying to have a look down the inside, coming into the chicane. Does he pull the car up in time? Looks like he's just about managed to do. Egg-K trying to go for the switchback on the exit. Good driving between the two. Nice, fair and respectable stuff, giving each other the room that they need. No contact between the two of them. Fubar holds it around the outside there. Andrex has got a bit of a run here at Egg-K, but Fubar's actually pulled over to give the slipstream to Egg-K, trying to go defensive on the run down towards turn 1. Will we go 3 wide coming into the braking zone? Not quite, but side by side between Egg-K and Andrex, sorry. Fubar holds onto that second position for now, but very close racing between these 3 drivers. Fantastic stuff. Really good to see these guys being respectable, giving each other the racing room, but still battling hard and fair at the same time. But this is bringing Tony Clifton into play, as well as Strongest Avenger and JK16. Looks like Yogurt has managed to get himself back ahead of Inky Chris. Whole bunch of position changes going on a little bit further down off the screen as well at the moment. Alan has managed to get himself back up into P10, as Tobo's managed to recover back up into P11 after losing a whole bunch of positions. Jobs is falling down the field, and that is why he sat stationary on the inside of turn 2 there. Absolute nightmare for him after starting from pole position. Oh, that's from some very heavy damage there at the front of that that Ferrari. Certainly making the wheelbase shorter there, and no doubt will have quite a lot of suspension damage. He's got a long way around the lap to go as well in order to get back to the pit lane to get the damage repaired. You can see in the background there, Tripp. There he is at the back of the field, down in 29th position. But let's jump back up to this battle just now for the final podium spot, as Fubar is checking out away from his teammate and Egg-K, who are still going at it for the moment. Egg-K is going to be defensive here coming into the chicane. Andrex trying to go around the outside, but they go side by side. Tony Clifton trying to cash in on this battle as well. Andrex up over the curve, trying to get the run off the exit of that corner. Wasn't quite able to pull up alongside, although Egg-K gives him just a little bit of space on the inside there of the final corner. 3 cars, line astern, coming down to begin lap 7 on the run down towards turn 1. This is the key braking zone. Looking to potentially be going 3 wide as we're coming into the braking zone. It is going to be 3 wide. Tony Clifton on the inside line, very deep. Egg-K was going to try and go for the switchback, but as Tony Clifton was right there on the apex, that move was completely blocked off. Otherwise, I would have imagined that Egg-K would have managed to get the switchback working on Andrex, but this has brought Strongest Avenger and JK16 right into play. JK16 picking the position off of Egg-K, coming through turn 3, slams the door shut, coming through that 4th turn and breaks the momentum of the Acura driver. He's now going to be right there up on the rear bumper of the Audi R8 in front of him. A little bit of oversteer coming through turn 6, but manages to gather and hold on to that car. Again, both JK16 and Egg-K slightly sideways off the exit of the turn. Egg-K though looks like he's trying to clear a slowdown penalties, allow Strongest Avenger to go through. Either that or we just let him go through, knowing that Strongest Avenger's got the pace and doesn't want to lose any time battling away. JK certainly seems the closest of the two. The front washing out a little bit in the dirty air coming through the Schumacher S's. Manages to keep it within the confines of the circuit, but you can certainly see as you go through the cars in this train, each and every one of them running a little bit deeper than the other through turns 9 and 10 there. On the back straight again, approaching the chicane. JK not quite close enough to go for the move, but shows his nose anyway. Strongest Avenger getting very close to the back. Oh, JK16, does he manage to pull it up? No, he's gone across the chicane there. This could allow Ek to retake the position. Strongest Avenger's going to lost a whole bunch of ground there. Jorgert lurking in the background as well. I just see him there, and then Lemon Lamborghini coming out the exit. He's leading Inky Chris at the moment, so swap of positions there. We've got JK16 having a look down the inside of Tony Clifton coming into the first turn. Will he be able to pull that big heavy BMW M6 up in time to get the move done and dusted? Yes, he does. Tony Clifton not really fighting it too much and lets the BMW driver go on through. So now JK16 lining up Andrex as his next potential victim, wanting to try and take that final podium spot. Andrex tipped JK16 as probably the race favourite for this, either that or Strongest Avenger. Unfortunately for JK16, he had some pretty hefty contact with something in the opening laps of race 1, which put him way down the field. But he has gone full offensive and made a whole bunch of moves. The Strongest Avenger nips up the inside there of Tony Clifton at the hairpin of turn 8. Good solid move by him, lining that one up. Dipping and riding the curves a little bit. Oh, okay, dipping the wheels onto the gravel there in the background. That'll cost him a little bit of momentum. JK16's got a time penalty to his name. Let's take a quick look at the time penalties. 1 second for the two drivers that have got penalties so far, which is JK and WMDR Martin. So now JK is just lurking at the rear of Andrex's car for the moment. Not close enough to make the move here coming into the chicane, but nice, steady and easy does it. They can get a good run coming through this final corner here. Could have the slipstream in towards turn 1, which is the favourite overtaking opportunity. Flash of lights there from Andrex, just to say to JK, I'm not going to fight you here coming into the first turn. So the two of them do change positions. JK now up onto the final stop of the podium. Andrex playing a tactical game, wanting to use the pace of the BMW that's now in front of him to try and close back up onto his teammate up ahead. His teammate Fubart. They're in second position in a bit of no man's land at the moment. 5 seconds off the back of Speedy Go, who's had a pretty exciting opening couple of laps to the race, but ever since then, and taking the race lead, he's just romped off into the distance and has been looking pretty happy and comfortable ever since. JK now in third place, starting to pull a bit of a gap to Andrex already. Strongest Avenger has pulled a gap to Tony Clifton and started closing up onto the back of Andrex. Probably be only a matter of time before those two drivers change positions. See in the background as well, Tony Clifton is very much under threat from Ek. There's also Jorgert and Inky Chris lurking pretty close there. You can see him in the background of the picture at the top of the screen. Strongest Avenger is right there on the rear bumper of the Audi as we come into Warsteiner Curve, turn 12. Andre's got a pretty good run through it though, and managed to eke out a couple of car lengths off the exit of the turn. Strongest will be in the slipstream on the approach to the braking zone for the chicane here. Oh, Andre's going a little bit deep, possibly struggling under braking. Strongest Avenger surely got the run. He's going to be side by side coming into the final corner. I doubt Andrex is going to fight this one too much and allow Strongest to go on through and try not to lose too much time, and indeed he does, but he's going to be in the slipstream on the approach towards turn 1. So is he actually going to try and fight and make the move coming into the first turn, or is he just going to sit a limb behind the Acura driver? For the moment, it looks like he's going to do the latter, so we'll jump to the battle between Jorgert and Ek as they go side by side coming into turn 1. The Lamborghini making the move down the inside of the Acura. The Acura constantly trying to line up the switchback as a defensive move on the exit of the first turn there, but each and every time gets caught out by a car being parked right there at the apex, and again right at the apex of turn 3 as well. Almost a little bit of contact between himself and the back of the Lamborghini. Inky Chris is now right here, as well as Alan. So we got a nice 4-car train, potentially 5 cars if they manage to close up onto the back of Tony Clifton once again. But yeah, Inky Chris now the next man looking to line up Ed K, who's again battling for second position earlier on in the race, but has now slipped back a whole bunch of positions here. Oh, Inky Chris got a better line through the Schumacher rest there. They'll be closing up a little bit here, but Alan is also lurking very close, just sat waiting to pounce on any mistakes by either of the two guys up in front. So we'll use Alan as a bit of a camera car here for us as we're watching the two drivers on the run towards the NGK chicane. Inky Chris having a look to the inside of Ed K, who lifts out of the throttle and lets him go on through without battling there. I think coming very close to the back of the Advan Acura on the exit, or should I say the entry to the chicane, and Ed K also letting Alan go through as well off the exit of that. So Ed K not really wanting to lose any time battling to these guys and just letting him on through, but of course doing that he's letting positions and points slip away from his grasp. As Turbo's the next driver behind, who's reasonably close, but we'll stick with Alan for the moment as he's fairly close to the back of Inky Chris. I think this is the closest battle out on circuit. Coming through the Mercedes arena at the moment. That's a slight mistake there by Inky Chris. That's gone and opened up the door wide open for Alan to sneak up the inside, and indeed he does get the move done. No he doesn't. Well, now he's getting the move done because he had a match butter run off the exit of turn 4 and does manage to get ahead through into turn 6 here. Turn 5 is the tiny little left-hander kink in on that straight between those two corners. It's almost non-existent and probably shouldn't be counted as a corner, but for some reason it is. But yeah, for a moment I thought Alan managed to get the move done in turn 3 with Inky Chris running a little bit deep, or should I say a little bit deep, running quite deep going through turn 3, but it was actually on the exit of turn 4 that Alan actually managed to get the move done and dusted. So he's now up into P8. Let's jump back up to Strongest Avenger and JK16, the battle for 3rd position. At the moment they see that they've dropped Andrex to 2 seconds behind, closing up onto Fubar in 2nd position up ahead, who's got a bit of traffic up in front of him. The two drivers navigate their way through the chicane. Strongest Avengers having a little bit of a cheeky look coming into the final turn as the BMW M6 is spitting a fair bit of flame and hanging the rear end out a little bit as well. Now they're on the run down towards the first turn. Fubar slips past the lap traffic. Strongest Avenger showing his nose in the braking zone here for turn 1. Comes pretty close to the BMW, but manages to pull the car up in time to avoid making contact and pit manoeuvring JK in front of him. Coming through turn 3, Ferrari coming into play a little bit here, holding him up. Sure, he'll move quite nicely out the way on the exit. Coming through, and indeed he does. Before they get to turn 6, they gained about half a second on the previous lap to Fubar, and you can see him there, just off in the distance, not too far away. Bottom of the hill is the race leader of Speedy Go, and actually these 3 cars of Fubar, JK16 and Strongest Avenger catching Speedy Go as well. The gap slowly coming down over the course of the last few laps as we're at the halfway stage of this feature race. Strongest Avenger really strong there on the brakes, coming in towards turn 11. Now just floating the cars through turn 12. The M6 stretching his legs a little bit here on this back straight to eke out a car length or 2, just to hold Strongest Avenger off for the moment. here. JK16 shifting down through the gears, really making use of the engine braking on the M6 just to help shorten the braking zone a little bit. We've got Sean Neves there on the right hand side, now the left hand side of the picture, getting out of the way of these guys, letting them slip on through. So Speedy Go still leading the way. Let's jump to this battle. Vinky Chris, Alan and Ass Turbo. Saw Alan make the move on Inky Chris a lap or two ago. Now Ass Turbo wants a little bit of that knife position and a few more points to his name, but isn't quite close enough to make any moves for the moment. Otto Winkler is fairly close to the back of Tiago Pereira as they're approaching the chicane. Doesn't go for the move though. Didn't feel he was close enough that time round. Then behind them we've got Sub Conan looking down the inside of Trip by the looks of things. He managed to get the move done there. Alternatively, he may have been going defensive. Not entirely sure the positions that they're actually in, but this is a pretty close three-way fight for 21st position with Deuce leading Sub Conan, leading Trip at the moment. They're on the run down towards turn 1 though. All three of them in a nice slipstream chain. Trip having a look to the inside of Sub Conan as they're coming into the braking zone. Neither of them quite getting the overlap on another car to warrant the racing room. So they all take the apex. All trying to run various different lines here coming into turn 2. Trip on the more favourable line though, but Sub Conan is right there in the acceleration zone. That breaks Trip's momentum. Deuce going a little bit deep coming through turn 3. Sub Conan could be in the pound seat here if he can line up a good run coming off the exit of turn 4. Gets caught up though a little bit, finding himself a little bit wide. Trip was there on up alongside and gets squeezed off onto the grass. It was a little bit naughty by Sub Conan there. He should have given the racing room to the Lamborghini. He was far enough up alongside by the looks of things. Trip forced to settle in behind for the moment. Oh, Ass Turbo is off across the chicane there, just picking that one up. I think Ass Turbo may have tried to make a move on Inky Chris, but possibly just running a little bit too deep in the corner. He finds himself back behind the BMW Z4 driver. And here we go. It's on, the three-way fight for second position. JK16 and also Strongest Avenger have managed to close up now onto the back of Fubar. Question is to whether, or is to how quickly JK can pass Fubar and start hunting down Speedy Go up in front. So otherwise they have been closing up onto the race lead. Hopefully they recognise that and won't be battling too hard and costing themselves to Speedy Go. We've got best part of 9 laps remaining before the end of the race, so they could see themselves in with a pretty good chance of potentially being there for the race win, or both Fubar and JK16 catching the curb and the grab on the grass. Strongest Avenger also running out wide. He looked like he was going to be in a really good position with the two cars in front of him, both making mistakes before Strongest Avenger ended up running out wide off the exit of the Schumacher S as well. So the positions remain as they are for the moment. Let's take a quick look at this this battle here. Otto Winkler is just off the back of Trip. Trip has managed to get himself up into 20th position. Deuce and Sub Conan having some drama now at the back of a 4-car train. Interesting. Otto Winkler and Atomic now managed to get themselves ahead. So possibly some contact somewhere along the line, or a mistake from the two drivers that have allowed Trip, Otto Winkler and Atomic take the positions away from those two drivers. Things very close at the head of the field, and JK16 has managed to get the move done into turn 1. I believe that may have been. You see the change of positions to the BMW driver now leading the Audi, now leading the Acura. Question is, how quickly can JK16 catch Speedy Go? If he can pull this off, starting from near enough the back of the grid, in and around 26th position to come with the race win, that will probably be the biggest number of positions gained in a race win, or in a race for the race win here in AOR in the GT3 league, barring the full reverse grid order. I know we used to do full reverse grid races, and we had a number of drivers then who started from the very back of the field come and take the race win, but this time things are shaken up a little bit more, where some of the faster guys who got the race win on the previous race wouldn't be starting from the very back of the grid, but instead be starting in and around the mid-pack. So this could be some kind of record here by JK16 if he manages to pull this off. At the moment, Fubar is defending to Strongest Avenger, allowing JK16 to pull away a little bit. Strongest, we wanted to try and have a look at the Audi R8 driver as soon as he possibly can, so we can try and hunt down JK16 and line himself up for the best possible opportunity for the race win. Fubar taking a slightly defensive approach on the run down towards turn 1. Strongest Avenger going for the move down the inside. It looked like he was a little bit too far back to be trying to make that move. Fubar giving him the racing room, but Fubar is going to have the inside line coming through turn 2. Strongest Avenger trying to make it all the way around the outside there. Fubar holding it tight on the exit, trying to hold on to that final podium spot. He's doing a good job so far. He's managed to keep that car and the Audi R8 just in front of the Acura, and holds Strongest Avenger at bay for the moment. Of course, this battle is going to be losing them time though, and JK16 will be continuing to extend that gap out a little bit further ahead. It's these two guys running nose to tail. The Strongest Avenger right there, tucked up underneath the rear wing of the Audi as they're approaching the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. Is he going to go for the move? No, he is not. He's going to just hold it for the moment just behind. Follow him up the climb, up towards the Schumacher S's. Let's jump on board, staring into the back of the Audi R8 as they come through turns 9 and 10. Nice and smooth run there by both of the two drivers as they come into turn 11 now. Strongest Avenger getting really close up, and the car wanted to snap and break away from him there as they went through the apex of turn 11. Managed to gather it back up though, but he's lost a few car lengths to Fubar. Fubar gets a short moment to breathe a slight sigh of relief and regain his breath somewhat. Still pulling away from Andrex at the moment though. But in that braking zone there for the chicane, Strongest Avenger immediately claws back a few car lengths once again. And once more he is sat in a pretty good position off the final turn, sat in the slipstream now of Fubar as we're on the run down towards turn 1. Is Fubar going to go a little bit more defensive this time round? Nobody's going to give Strongest Avenger the inside line as they come side by side in the braking zone for the apex of turn 1. Fubar's going to try and hang it around the outside here though. He's carrying the speed and momentum. He's got the inside line once again for turn 2. Strongest Avenger trying to hold it the long way round. Once again, side by side, rubbing door panels slightly there. Slight wheel banging, but it's not going to affect the two too much as Strongest Avenger can hold it around the outside here. He could have the inside for turn 4, but he doesn't quite pull that one off. And once again, Fubar does a fantastic defensive job and keeps Strongest Avenger behind and keeps himself on that final spot of the podium for now. But now we have JK16 who's closed up within a second of Speedy Go as well. We've got a number of battles to try and keep an eye on, whereas Inky Chris, WMDR Martin, as Turbo as well. They're reasonably close together, but not as close as the battles at the head of the field. So let's jump back up to those. I think we'll stick with Strongest Avenger and Fubar for the moment. They certainly seem closer than JK16 and Speedy Go. Once again, the two of them coming through, the Schumacher S's. Out the exit of that, Strongest Avenger just having a little bit of a look, just presenting himself slightly in the mirrors of Fubar. Once again, the car getting a little bit twitchy through the apex of turn 11. Holds on to it. He's closer this time than he was last time round on the previous lap. What is his run off turn 12 like though? Coming through turn 13 completely flat out. It's not going to trouble these GT3 cars at all, but coming into the chicane is Fubar. going to hold off and take the defensive line. It looks like he is. I thought Strongest Avenger was going to try and make the move, but instead Strongest Avenger trying to get the run off the exit of the chicane. He's going to be on the inside, coming into the final turn. Fubar's going to try and slug it around the outside here, though. He's going to try and take that acceleration zone away. It's going to be a drag race between the two drivers as they're coming down the start-finish straight. The Audi is just ahead of the Acura for the moment, but the Acura does have pretty good straight line speed. He's going to have the inside line for the first turn as well, though. Fubar trying to line himself up potentially for... He's going for the outside move once again. He's going to have the inside line for turn 2. Will he be able to pull it off? And will Strongest Avenger come out on top this time ahead? It looks like he's just about to eke ahead, but Fubar is right there. Strongest Avenger goes immediately defensive for turn 3, slams the door shut in Fubar's face, preventing him from coming back, and manages to get himself finally up onto the podium position. He's been trying to make the move over the course of the last 3 laps. Finally manages to get that one done and dusted, and now Fubar concedes the position and drops down into 4th place. So the question is now, how quickly can Strongest Avenger catch up to the lead battle? We've got the best part of 5 laps remaining here in this race as JK16 is right on the back of our race leader Speedy Go at the moment. So we'll ride with these two guys as they come into the Schumacher-S now. Oh, Speedy Go catching the gravel a little bit there. That's going to hurt his momentum coming off the exit of the turn on the run down towards turn 11. JK16 just presenting himself in the mirrors a little bit there, but holds station behind for the moment. Coming through Warsteiner curve or turn 12, trying to line himself up for a good move off the exit of that corner. Coming through turn 13, Speedy Go going defensive on the run down towards the chicanes. JK16 going to be trying to make the move around the outside, sweeps around the outside of the Lamborghini, a little bit of door rubbing and wheel banging there between the two, but JK16 has managed to take the lead here in this second feature race of round 6. Fantastic move and great racing action here between the two drivers, but surely JK16, who's been the man with a mission here in this second race, who's been showing the pace, is going to start to pull away from the Lamborghini driver and start to eke out a lead unless Speedy Go has an answer and manages to pull some pace out of the bag. He needs to do that if he wants to try and keep up with the BMW, because he'll probably very soon find himself with his mirrors occupied by Strongest Avenger behind him in the last few moments of the race. The gap now just ticking under 1 second, as on the previous lap Strongest Avenger taking a sizable chunk out of the two guys in front as they're battling away, and is again up on his previous fastest. You can see the gap is already under 1 second, is now coming down towards half a second, so Speedy Go will be starting to feel the pressure and potentially seeing his chances of a second place fading away unless he can put up an almighty defensive effort to hold Strongest Avenger off. He's just got a couple more laps to hold on to the position. Let's quickly take a break away to check in with Tony Clifton, Jorgert and Alan. This is the battle for 6th position at the moment. Tony Clifton's got himself a penalty, a 2-second penalty in fact, which is going to drop him certainly off the back of past Jorgert, and at the moment we'll also see himself losing the position to Alan, who's gone sideways there coming off the exit. The Schumacher-S is picking up the gravel, does a fantastic job there of managed to regather the car back up. We'll jump back up to this battle now though, because Strongest Avenger is right there having a look round the outside of Speedy Go coming into the chicane, but Speedy Go does a good job of lining the traffic up as well to help defend and cover off that position for the moment. But he's going to need to keep his wits about him on the approach down towards turn 1. Strongest Avenger very much there, sat in the slipstream. He's having a look. Speedy Go going defensive, moving his car all the way over to driver's right to defend that inside line. Strongest Avenger trying to go around the outside. Will he be able to do it, or will Speedy Go hold on to that second position? He's going to make it tight coming into turn 2. Good defensive driving. Strongest Avenger stuck his nose in though, tried to force the gap back open once more, forces Speedy Go out a little bit wide. It's going to be around the outside. Coming in through turn 3, it's going to give him the inside line though, coming into turn 4 to try and hold on to that 3rd position, and indeed he does for the moment. Strongest Avenger take it to the grass, trying to find a space to slip on through, but is it going to be able to get that 2nd position for the moment? He sits in behind Speedy Go, who's doing a fantastic defensive job to try and shut the door on the Acura driver and hold on to that position. It will be his strongest result to date. Actually, no, it will match his strongest result. He got second place in round 1, but strongest Avenger slings it around the outside, coming round down in the hairpin at turn 8. But Speedy Go is not going to have any of that and tries to hold on to the position. He's going to be on the outside coming into the Schumacher SS though. Will he be able to hold it around the outside? No, he concedes the position and lifts out. Gets that second position away to strongest Avenger and now sees himself very much under threat from Fubar, who's having a look down the inside coming into turn 11. Doesn't quite make the move work. Speedy Go potentially losing 2 positions here as Fubar is now right in the pound seat to try and pop himself back up onto the podium, but Fubar's going to run out a little bit wide, running his wheels through the gravel there on the exit of turn 12. Not quite able to get the run off the corner to try and make the move coming up towards the chicane here. Really cheering for Speedy Go there to try and hold on to that second position. It was fantastic racing action to see between himself and Strongest Avenger. Strongest Avenger getting a little bit forceful and prying open the door with the nose of his car in turn 2 as Speedy Go was trying to close that door as much as possible on him. Speedy Go trying to break the toe there on Fubar's. They're on the approach down towards turn 1. He holds on to the position for the moment. Fubar not close enough to try and take that place as we've got a some lap traffic there moving out the way. Is that Mr. Zach? No, Mr. Zach is very much under threat and coming under heavy pressure from Clank. We've also got Tiago Pereira. Oh no, Clank's gone and spun there. Possible contact between himself and Tiago Pereira. Now Tripp is also trying to get involved, and Tripp goes ahead of Tiago on the approach to turn 11 there. So Mr. Zach relieves himself of that pressure. Tripp is now up into P17. Tiago Pereira there in P18, and Ticket Nash is now trying to get involved in the battle as well, lurking just under a second off the back of Tiago for the moment. Oh, there's contact between Speedy Go and Fubar down at the hairpin, down at turn 8. Whose fault was that? We picked him up just as one of the two cars was spun up alongside, I believe, as Speedy Go, who was perpendicular to the circuit. Fubar is in 3rd position for the moment, but Andrex is now up into 4th place as Speedy Go was recovering back onto the track. Somewhat regret pulling away from the action there to see what would have happened between those drivers, but hopefully we can get one of them in for an interview post-race and ask what happened there. Jorgert all over the back of Tony Clifton on the run towards the final chicane, trying to look down the inside. Tony Clifton trying to make it tight, but then opens up the room, realising that Lamborghini's there. Jorgert looks like he's managed to get the move done and dusted. Tony Clifton very much under pressure from Alan now. Alan trying to look round the outside, coming into the final corner, trying to go for the switchback and line himself up for the decent run off the exit. Not quite able to make the move work though. He's going to settle in behind to try and pick up the slipstream. Tony Clifton showing the defensive move early, covering off the inside line. There's one of the drivers smashing through the brake marker board there. Alan going for the switchback on Tony Clifton, gets the move done as Tony Clifton struggled to pull the car up at the apex. Was having to fight the car as it was trying to break away from him. So now the Mercedes leads the Audi R8 as those two swap position. So more points picked up and put into the bag for Alan there. WMDR Martin fairly close to the back of As Turbo. This is the battle for 9th position. Just under a second between those two. Andrex and Fubar, 2 teammates running line astern at the moment. I doubt Andrex is going to apply any pressure to Fubar for that 3rd position. He'll quite happily pick up 4th place, but I'm sure Speedy Go feels like he's been robbed slightly. All depends as to who was at fault for the incident that we caught the end of when we jumped back to Fubar and Speedy Go. Obviously we didn't see what happened, so I'm not going to make any assumptions as to who the blame lies on. Alan just over a second off the back of Jorgert as they come out Warsteiner curve. Tony Clifton, they're just over a second behind. As mentioned, WMDR Martin and As Turbo fairly close. And that gap's starting to shrink a little bit because it was in and around a second before. Oh, Tickon Nash has had a spin somewhere. He was fairly close off the back of Mr. Zach, I think, in front. I saw the exclamation mark between those two, but he now finds himself in a three-way fight with Clank and Sub Conan. Sub Conan and Clank looks like they got damage on their car. So the R8 is all over the back of the Ferrari coming through turn 6 and turn 7 here, trying to find a way past as our race leader JK16 is onto the final lap of the race here. Showing lap 22 out of 23 at the top, up there above the drivers' names, because that is the lap that these drivers are actually on. But over there on the standings panel on the left hand side, we can see that JK16 is on lap 23. So they come through the Schumacher S's. Sub Conan looks like he's got a pretty good run here at Clank. Will he be able to go for the move coming into turn 11? Thinks better of it for the moment, just settles in behind, holds on to that ground behind him, closes up at the apex of turn 12. This could potentially hurt his run coming off the corner. Not quite close enough yet. Alan and Jogek fairly close together. They've got a little bit of lap traffic here, getting quite nicely out the way for these two drivers as well. Oh, Alan up all over the grass and gravel there. That's going to hurt his momentum and drop him off the back of Jogek, but Alan is going to be coming into the final chicane now. A very rubbered and dirt splattered BMW M6 coming through the final turn, starting from near enough the back of the grid, down in 25th, 26th position. A flash of the lights. He comes away with the race win here in the feature race. He will be absolutely ecstatic with that, and a very well-deserved victory for him. Congratulations, JK16. What a phenomenal drive that was for you. Strongest Avenger picks up second place. He'll be happy with that. Fubar holds on to third position in the end, with Andrex coming across the line in P4. Speedy Go picks up fifth position, with Jogek just about managing to hold off Alan for sixth. So Alan picks up P7 as a rear wing goes flying across the screen there. Tony Clifton picks up P8 in the end. As Turbo manages to hold off WMDR Martin for P9, so WMDR Martin in P10. Inky Chris, we didn't really see too much of in the latter part of the race, comes home in P11. Pathos, he's just coming through the final corner now. Gwegwin not too far off the back of him. We saw quite a lot of Gwegwin in the opening phase of the race, but then as he started slipping through the field, we unfortunately lost track of his race and how that went. So he comes home in P13 in the end. Stephen Curry picks up P14 in his Lamborghini. Delgado coming out the exit of the final turn. He picks up P15 in his Mercedes. Tripp is just coming through the final chicane one last time. He is out the exit of that now. Comes off the corner. He'll be picking up P16 there in the end. He'll be very happy with that. Tiago Pereira comes home in P17. Mr. Zach will pick up P18 and his Porsche. Clank comes across the line in P19. Holds off Tikanash. Nope, Sub Conan goes through. Tikanash, you haven't crossed the start-finish line yet. You've run out of fuel. You're right there at the line. You haven't crossed the start-finish line. You are right there. Sub Conan has come home in 20th. Tikanash completely out of fuel. Fat Worm's already crossed the line, so Tikanash is going to make the end. Oh no, I'm sure he'll still pick up the position anyway. But man oh man, what a race win for JK16 there. Very well deserved for you, sir. Congratulations. Second place goes to Strongest Avenger, with Fubar picking up the final podium spot. Andrex UK in P4, Speedy Go in P5, P6 goes to Jogek Allen in P7, Tony Clifton in P8, As Turbo in P9, and WMDR Martin rounds out the top 10. Inky Chris comes home in 11th, 12th goes to Pathos, Gwegwin in P13, 14th United Kingdom of Great Germany, 15th goes to Delgado, Tripp in P16, Tiago Pereira P17, P18, Mr. Zach Clank in 19th position, with 20th going to Subcone in 21st, goes to Tickle Nash you very much. Fatworm comes home in 22nd position. Atomic in 23rd. Nono Appreciate in 24th. Deuce in 25th. Otto Winkler there in 26th. Sean Neves in 27th. And then 28th position goes to Jobsk. Woo! Boy, oh boy, what an exciting race that was at the end there with that feature race. My voice is, as you can probably tell, a little bit sore from the commentary this evening. But let's get our first driver into the commentary box to do the talking for me. Strongest Avenger, 2 races for you. Came away with the race win in the first race, 2nd position in the 2nd race. I'm guessing that 2nd race was a lot more exciting. Strongest Avenger, you there? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, I don't think Strongest Avenger can hear me. So bear with me a moment.
Because he was facing side. Oh, hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Andrex?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, my Discord is suddenly decided to play
I don't hear you.
For whatever reason. Do you hear me now? It doesn't hear me now. Right, bear with me a second. I am just going to restart Discord. Close the game. Disconnect that. Close that. Apologies for this. Discord, there you are. Quit. Right. Close that. Opened up Discord again, and we'll fire that open one more time and see if we can get a interview here from Andrex. Andrex.
Ah, there you are.
Hello. You hear me this time?
I can indeed. Yes.
Excellent. Cool. Summary of your evening. Let's go.
Quick run through. Race 1 was a bit of a messy start, a bit laggy. I got teleported back about 20 feet. I think I must have teleported inside somebody's car. I got punted up, directly up in the air about 20 feet, landing down and getting suspension and aero damage. So I wasn't expecting much out of this race, to be honest. From the practice, I was struggling with setup. It just wasn't really working. It'd work for 4 or 5 laps, and then after that, it'd just get progressively worse, the tyres being melty. But I managed to soldier on, and I think we dropped down to 10th or 11th. I managed to get up to 7th in the end. A couple of good battles along the way. Race 2 was a lot better, starting 10th or so, or 8th from the reverse grid, which kind of helped me a lot. Obviously, the fast guys were always going to come through, but yeah, I just kind of kept it clean and managed to avoid any incidents, and other people were having issues and managed to gain positions. So I was not expecting a top 5 at all tonight, so I'll take that with both hands, gladly, for sure.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure you'll be very pleased. You looking forward to the next round at the Azure circuit?
Yes and no. I think we ran it in season 5 a long time ago. That was in Project Cars 1. I don't think we've actually run it again since then. And it didn't actually go too badly, to be fair. It wasn't the expected semi-wreck fest. It's very tricky to overtake there, so qualifying is going to be very important, which is awesome because I'm fantastic at qualifying. This is my best trait. I'm awesome at qualifying badly. But
hinted sarcasm now.
A little bit. But you know, it's one of these things that there's walls all over the place. People make little mistakes, pick up damage, and hopefully you can kind of get past people with damage, and if you keep it clean, which I seem to manage to do. So hopefully we'll get away with it. But I'm just kind of happy that tonight went quite a lot better than I was expecting, to be fair. So yeah, no, very happy with that. And there's some good battling all over the place as well. So good stuff.
Good. Well, you had a yeah, some pretty good races. You managed to pull the gap a little bit further to Inky Chris, but obviously Strongest Avenger got
So
closed
I must
up.
have had a bit of a nightmare in that second race there. I think he finished 10th or 11th or something, so that's never good for somebody. But
Yeah.
again, yeah, I'll accept the little points buffer. But yeah, we'll see.
Cool. Well, congratulations on another solid performance this evening. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, dude. Cheers, guys.
Right, cheers, bye-bye. Right, I need to get off reasonably sharpish, so we'll do one more driver interview. So I apologise to Inky Chris and Atomic, who I can see in the ready for interview room. But I want to bring this man in here because he should now be able to hear me, unlike a couple of minutes ago. Strongest Avenger, a first position in race 1 and a second place in race 2. I'm sure you're going to be very happy with that.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Yorkie. I finally decided to join this commentary box of yours.
Woo!
Yeah, the first race. Well, the plan was just try to win the qualifying and keep the pace up. In the practice I was, and in the last night's practice, I was pretty sure I can outpace JK if I was in front of him. So that was the only plan. I just tried to drive without mistakes and go forward. And yeah, that was a good one. The second one, though, was like I was just trying to be very careful. There were lots of crashes, both in this race and the last night's one. So I was just being very careful not to do a lot of die bones or things like that. And I don't know, JK just passed me somewhere, like it happened. And after that, I was just pushing hard, like I gave it everything, like just really pushed everything I could from this car. In the end, I think I had a chance. There was a 3-second gap, but I don't know. I just made a little mistake passing Atomic, and I don't know. I lost a few seconds, but overall it was a very good race. Congrats to JK, and yep, it was very good.
Excellent. What are your thoughts on the next round at Azure Circuit? You've been pretty strong in qualifying, getting numerous pole positions, so I'm sure you'll probably be hoping for first position again for that one.
Well, I still haven't done any practice on there. Like I did actually a few laps, and the pace is okay with Acura, but I don't think I have any like advantages against other cars. So, the plan will be probably the same: just win the first place and just push forward. There's nothing you can do there, I think. I don't know. It's a very hard track, very easy to make a mistake. So I don't know. Definitely, I would hope for something like top 5. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, all I can do is wish you the best of luck for the next round, as it's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. But yeah, congratulations on your race win in the second position. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. See you next round.
See you again soon. Take care. Right. I'm going to call it there for this coverage of round 6 here on the Apex Online Racing YouTube channel with the Project Cars 2 GT3 Elite League. Same time again next week at 8 PM British summertime. We have on the 6th of May the Azure Circuit, i.e. Monaco. That's going to be an interesting one. 60 minutes around that track. So yeah, as the drivers have been hinting, the qualifying is going to be key, as that is obviously going to get them in the best position possible. And then the next thing they need to do is just try and keep out of the walls and avoid picking up the damage where possible. So make sure you tune back in for that one next week. I've been Yorkie065. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the AOR YouTube channel. Hit the bell notification. That way you'll be notified of when we go live with our various live streams throughout the week. And yeah, also if you want to, links to my social media and YouTube channel are down in the description below. It'd be very much appreciated if you go and take a look and check me out and follow me there as well. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Hopefully we'll catch you again next time round. But until then, have fun, stay safe, and take care.